Hi, this is Chuck. Welcome to our video question of the week. This week our question comes in from Mike in Florida, and he asks, can you explain the difference between utilization and productivity? Sure. Utilization, what that is that's the difference basically between the amount of time that you are paying an employee, or a production employee, a field worker, let's say, like a technician or installer, and the difference between that and what they're actually billing towards that job. So in most cases, our members try to run at about 80% utilization. That's about as high as you can get with PTO and other things that prevent you from having 100% utilization. Now productivity, on the other hand, what that is that's what happens in that in-between time. So let's say your staff members are running at about 70 to 65% utilization. That means the difference between that number and that 80% target, that's other time that you ideally want to have being productive, but not necessarily billable time. For example, that could be the time that you would have a pre-engineering or design person working on a pre-sales opportunity that never comes to pass, a job that you don't get, more or less. Or it could be training time. It could be that time that you send people to a session, a conference, or whatever that isn't billable, but it's highly valuable to you for productive reasons. So that's how we differentiate the two of them. Now, to track utilization, you've got to have everyone's cooperation, and you've got to have kind of a culture of doing that and having your timesheets done in a timely fashion and done correctly, so that you're really able to track that on an ongoing basis. So that's a discipline thing. Tracking productivity, to me, that is that, of course, but it's also an element of honesty has to take place here. So you have to have this environment that you create in your company, this culture that everybody is open and honest about what they're doing with their, not necessarily idle time, but non-billable time, so that you know for sure when they have capacity to go on and do other things. So the big thing is to make sure that you're not phoning up or padding your jobs with the time that people have as idle time. You don't want to add that to a project or to write it off towards a project. You want to make sure that it's written up as shop time or training time or something that you can track on an ongoing basis to keep your job costing really accurate. Also, make sure your employees understand that productive time that's non-billable is something that isn't just overhead, that we have to make the very best use of that time. We can't be, just wandering around, and doing things that don't contribute to the success of the company. And that's a hard thing to grasp. We gotta not have the mindset that that's just overhead and we can't do anything about it, because there is something we can do. And then just let them know that while you're tracking all these things, you're not trying to accuse them of anything, or their job's not at risk per se, but it's just something that's a very, very important thing that we have to measure to be successful. So that's the difference between productivity and utilization. Thanks.